to enforce the decisions of this committee. So even from the chair, I must say it is the right thing that the Honorable Senator Mugatana has done, and I now call upon you, Senator Mugatana, to reply. Thank
you. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank all my colleagues who have made contributions to this bill. Mr. Speaker, I want to start with you and let you know that before you took the stage, the chair, when I was moving this bill for second reading, I did acknowledge the industry and the work that the JLAC did. And I did mention you in name, Mr. Speaker. And I read your report, and I was grateful for the work that you have done. Mr. Speaker, being an old member, I appreciate really the work that other colleagues are putting towards success of legislation. And I did mention that, Mr. Speaker, and I appreciate the comments from the report of legal. And I want to thank you very much, now in person, the JLAC, for the way you handled this matter when it was being processed through your committee. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank Senator Cherargei for passionately seconding the second reading of this bill. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Cherargei actually gave live examples, and we all remember what happened in Solai Dam. Many people felt that justice was not carried, and yet the committee of this House had made certain directions. There was previous, before the passing of this bill, no responsible officer, nobody to push, nobody was facing any consequences for not following what the Senate committee had resolved. The Honorable Cherargei, Mr. Speaker, spoke about what they had resolved as Senate on the question of the talai, which continues to hound us to date. And he says when he goes to his constituency, they are asking him, what happened? He says, we passed, but there is no action as the people had said. With the passing of this bill, Mr. Speaker, this is going to be a thing of the past. I want to thank Senator Wamatinga. When he was contributing, Mr. Speaker, he made it clear that we need a 360-degree reporting mechanism so that when we come here and we debate on issues, we are not debating for the sake of debate. We are not here a house of talk. Mr. Speaker, we are passing resolutions that are going to be binding, and government officers are going to take us seriously. Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for the Honorable Amatinga's observations and his support. I thank the Honorable Senator Wafula. Mr. Speaker, he stated that in this country, not just Kenya, but in Africa, people have a problem with following rules and regulations. And it is important for us to put consequences. Mr. Speaker, it was not lost to me that this bill, in the second reading, there has been a proposal that we make the consequences of failure to comply with resolutions even more stricter than what we have proposed in this bill. Mr. Speaker, we have proposed 500,000 as a punishment. In the alternative, we have proposed a 6 months jail term for those responsible officers who will not have obeyed the resolutions of this House or given them effect. Mr. Speaker, it has been proposed in this House that we should go as far as 3 years. We should go as far as 3 million. Because they say a cabinet secretary, a CS, if you charge them with, find them guilty and say it is 500,000, it was stated here in the second reading debate that is a change, a small change for them, and they may not take it as seriously. Those observations, Mr. Speaker, I will take them, And Mr. Speaker, during the third reading, we shall make appropriate amendments that I believe will have the support of the House. I want to thank the Honorable Senator Mandago. Mr. Speaker, in his contributions, he made a very important contribution on this floor. And he said that in his previous service, people used to bring very important resolutions in the county assembly where he was had the chance to serve as chief executive. And these resolutions, as governor, they are taken to, marked to the relevant departments. And yet those departments do not affect the resolutions of the people, the county assembly members who have been elected to pass a resolution to reflect what the people are saying on the ground. Mr. Speaker, he has said that we find a way in which this bill can also have effect in the county assembly. Mr. Speaker, I am grateful for that suggestion, and Mr. Speaker, we will find a way in the third reading to bring appropriate amendments that if the JLAC committee sees them proper, we shall process them, Mr. Speaker, on third reading to see how we can capture whether we can make it also effective throughout the Republic in all county assemblies, so that the resolutions of those members of the county assembly, Mr. Speaker, can be taken seriously. Because, Mr. Speaker, we have bad experiences. We have governors who don't even really respect our MCAs, and when they make resolutions, when they talk the language of the people, these governors, they tend to hide and try to find a way to get away from the resolutions of the county assemblies. Mr. Speaker, we have had resolutions in county assemblies where a county assembly sits down and decides to pass a resolution to remove a county executive committee member. And then that member is supposed to be sacked, but instead, if he was serving in health, he's taken to public service. The governor decides he's not going to sack that member for whatever reason. He removes him or her from the docket that is currently serving and takes them to another place, therefore defeating the purpose for which the county assembly has taken time to express the opinion of the county at the assembly, of the people of that county. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for this proposal, and we shall surely find a way in which we can bring it in the third stage, the third reading, to see how we will be able to bring that decision, that thought in it captured within the law. Mr. Speaker, I wanted to say, as I finish in making my response, that, Mr. Speaker, this is not a small matter. It's going to affect all of us, and I am grateful for what my colleagues have said. And I know some members of the National Assembly are also listening and following into this. I take the comments by the Honorable Senator Cherargei that they should also support, when it comes to their side, concurrence, so that we don't have an issue, because this affects all of us. This is something that needs to be looked as a parliament issue, as an issue that affects all of us, and it is creating space for us as a parliament. Mr. Speaker, it is also not lost to me that the people of Tana River County, Mr. Speaker, they have had a problem. Those who are down at the area of the Delta, those who are down where the river Tana meets the sea. Mr. Speaker, they have had a problem because we have had upstream developments that have continuously reduced the volume that goes down to the river. Mr. Speaker, I brought a motion here, and the House agreed with me because they saw the suffering of the people at the Delta. And Mr. Speaker, that motion is so critical, because what has happened is even areas like Mutembei area, the river, because of reduced power, it has cut away. It has now turned to go into other areas. And then whole villages, people, 10,000 households, Mr. Speaker, the river has turned away. Because upstream, the developments have affected the strength and the power. And we pay twice. When it's the dry season, the river moves away. So people have a serious water problem. When it's rainy season, they release the water upstream, and it comes and it destroys us downstream. Mr. Speaker, that motion is so critical to our people. And yet, when the clerk has written to these people in the Ministry of Water and Sanitation and Irrigation, Mr. Speaker, they have not really come back to the committee of, in charge of water, land resources to tell them, this is what we are doing. This is what we are doing. We are telling all our officers that no approval of any project shall be done without consultation and doing proper assessment, impact assessment, both social impact